And the Prime Minister has arrived home after his whirlwind tour of the United States. You can see the Prime Minister is back, and the BJP has planned a grand welcome for the Prime Minister already. We've seen groups from various parts of the country with Dhols and Nagadhas. The BJP president is also there. Mr. Nadda is also there at the airport to welcome the Prime Minister back. There's also a small stage that has been put up to one side. Now, the Prime Minister has had a very busy and a very significant trip with several key bilaterals, including with the United States President Joe Biden. He also met for the first time with Vice President Kamala Harris. He also attended the all-important Quad meeting. It was the first in-person meeting of the Quad countries. That's US, India, Japan and Australia. The Prime Minister also addressed the UN General Assembly, during which time he also hit out at Pakistan over fostering terrorist groups, and also said that no country should take advantage of the delicate situation currently being seen in Afghanistan. So there you can see the Prime Minister back after his whirlwind trip of the United States that consisted also of meetings with top business leaders. He's also bringing back home with him 157 artifacts and antiquities which were handed over to India by the US during the visit, with both he and President Joe Biden expressing commitment to strengthening efforts to combat theft, illicit trade and trafficking of cultural items. So the Prime Minister clocking back after his US trip, where he clocked 20 meetings in the 65 hours that he spent in the United States, with an additional 4 long meetings he had in the flight. So that makes it 24 meetings is what reports are saying. So this 4-day hectic visit with the 3 working days saw the Prime Minister effectively using the time available, clearing official files. Also, as we saw those visuals en route to the United States, the Prime Minister also held on September 23rd. The Prime Minister had 5 separate meetings with global CEOs, followed by meetings with the US Vice President Kamala Harris, Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison, and the Japanese Premier Yoshihide Suga. And this was also followed by 3 internal meetings that he held with his team. The next day, he also held the bilateral with President Joe Biden. That was on the 24th of September when he held his meeting with the US President Biden, and that was then followed by the Quad meeting. That was the first in-person Quad meeting that took place with President Joe Biden. It was hosted in the White House, Prime Minister Modi and also his counterparts from Japan and Australia. In a tweet just before his departure for India, the Prime Minister said he had productive bilateral and multilateral engagements over the last few days in the US. He tweeted, "Over the last few days, have had productive bilateral and multilateral engagements, interactions with CEOs and the UN address. I'm confident the India-USA relationship will grow even stronger in the years to come. Our rich people-to-people linkages are among our strongest assets." So there you can see the Prime Minister back home from his whirlwind trip in the United States, where he held several key bilaterals. He met President Joe Biden for the first time. He met US Vice President Kamala Harris for the first time as well. He also attended the Quad Summit and he addressed the UN General Assembly. The Prime Minister tweeting before his departure from the US for India, saying, "Over the last few days, I've had productive bilateral and multilateral engagements, interaction with CEOs and the UN address. I'm confident the India-USA relationship will grow even stronger in the years to come. Our rich people-to-people linkages are among our strongest assets." The BJP has planned a grand welcome for the Prime Minister for his successful trip of the United States. There you can see flags have been put up. There have been groups called from across the country, musical groups with Dhol and Nagara from different parts, from different states. And they will also be performing to greet the Prime Minister. Thousands, in fact, of BJP workers and supporters have gathered at the airport to greet the Prime Minister and to welcome him back. The BJP has said for his successful visit to the United States. There you can see BJP President JP Nadda also waiting for the Prime Minister as he arrived a short while ago. So there's a small program that has been planned by the BJP at the airport. In fact, this is at the technical area of the airport. A stage has also been set up there. You can see the crowds who are there to greet the Prime Minister, who has returned from his first foreign trip in months and coming back from the United States, as we said, where he held several bilaterals with the US President, Vice President, also with his counterparts in Australia and Japan as well, and addressed the United Nations General Assembly.
विश्व के सबसे लोकप्रिय नेता माननीय प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी आ गए हैं। स्वागत है भाई, स्वागत है।
The Prime Minister there coming out of the vehicle, and there you can see leaders awaiting the Prime Minister, JP Nadda, right in the front with a garland for the Prime Minister. All right, with a scarf there for the Prime Minister to greet him as he returns from the US. So the BJP there having planned a grand welcome for the Prime Minister for what they say was his very successful trip to the United States, a whirlwind trip over the last 4 days, where the Prime Minister held several key bilaterals and meetings. He met with business leaders. He addressed the UN General Assembly as well.
दिल्ली के सांसद डॉक्टर हर्ष वर्धन जी माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का स्वागत कर रहे हैं। इसी के साथ साथ रमेश बिदुड़ी जी भी माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का स्वागत कर रहे हैं, और दिल्ली के सभी मेयर मंच पे है, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी मंच पे आ रहे हैं। स्वागत है भाई, स्वागत है।
All right, the Prime Minister will be addressing, it seems, the gathered crowds who have come to welcome him back home from the United States. So quite a big event there being made out of the Prime Minister's return from his US trip, with top leaders from Delhi, of the BJP as well, and various party workers and supporters there gathered. This is a stage that has been set up in the technical area of the airport, and there you can see the Prime Minister waving at the gathered crowd. So a big event being made out of the Prime Minister's return from the United States from his official trip there.
JP नड्डा जी से, दिल्ली प्रदेश के अध्यक्ष आदेश गुप्ता जी से, और तीनों कारपोरेटर से, और नेता प्रतिपक्ष जो
All right, so there you can see a massive garland of flowers also for the Prime Minister on the stage as he arrives. So the BJP making it into a very big event. The Prime Minister's return to India after his official trip to the United States. As we said, it was a whirlwind trip that the Prime Minister made, holding dozens of meetings, key bilaterals as well. He met with US President Joe Biden. It was the first physical meeting between the two leaders. He also met the US Vice President Kamala Harris for the first time during this visit.